Recording. So we saw Bridget Jones's Baby.
I'm sure Brad had some reason to send us to this.
It was fairly terrible.
It was pointless. It was a pointless movie.
I feel like I was kind of expecting more of a difference of opinion, considering that I'm pretty fond of the first one and you hate it with a fiery passion.
I don't see the fucking charm.
It helps that I'm a big fan of Pride and Prejudice, and the first one is basically she stole that book wholesale.
Yeah. And I
to
hate
the point
Pride
where
and
actually
Prejudice.
it's referenced several times in the book version. She actually interviews Colin Firth, and there's a whole big embarrassing interlude, but they couldn't do that in the movie because Mark Darcy was played by Colin Firth. But then the second book, Bridget Jones' The Edge of Reason, came out, and I read it and I hated it so much I didn't even bother to see the movie. But then this thing came out, and I tell you what, I would not have seen it on my own steam, but Brad sent us to it, so here we are.
I think he thought it would be funny to send the expecting parents to see the movie about an expecting parent. Fuck him. fuck Brad Jones.
Well, because we didn't see Bad Moms, or I guess I'm going to see Storks, but you're not.
Yeah, which I'm a little upset about because I kind of want to see Storks because I want to see Wolfpack form of a submarine. God,
I'll come home and I'll tell you all about it.
God damn it! I want to see that movie. It looks. The reason I want to see that movie is it actually looks like old, kind of like actual Warner Brothers humor, which I love.
Well,
I mean,
like
probably
Andy
not
Samberg.
nearly as racist, but Warner Brothers humor.
But I like I was saying, I like Andy Samberg, and it seems very much. First of all, he's in it, and second of all, that sort of style of humor of just like saying out loud the things that are happening.
Yeah,
which always tickles me. But Bridget Jones's Baby, I feel like probably was just a cash grab to try to appeal to pregnant moms and already having had a baby moms, but they didn't really they touched on the barfing thing. They made this ridiculous prosthetic stomach that looked like a basketball with a tarp over it.
yeah.
And then gave her pregnancy brain, and that's about all they did in terms of trying to connect with the audience. And past that, it's just her going from single and has a job to no job, has a baby, has a husband.
Yeah, and then also, that's the entire story. She gets knocked up, could be one of two guys, either of which is charming in their own way, but also complete douchebags. Mm-hmm. She picks one. Who gives a shit? It's boring.
The thing is, Mark Darcy is plenty charming, and it's just because it's Colin Firth, and not really because he's been written well.
No. Colin Firth is the best part of this movie, but it's because he's Colin Firth. Mm-hmm. He's one of those guys that could read the phone book, and I would find it somewhat entertaining.
He's a gentleman. But McDreamy, whatever his actual name is, I've seen him in stuff where he's charming as fuck, and he was just a piece of cardboard in this movie. And it's because they...
Smarmy cardboard.
Smarmy, smug, new agey American cardboard. I think that he's basically just there to be Colin Firth's opposite. And to give this movie any sort of semblance of a conflict. I'm sorry, it was so boring. If you've seen the preview, you've seen this movie.
It's somehow on Rotten Tomatoes this has a 77%.
That can't possibly be true.
It has a 77%, and I really think it is because it is not in any way offensive or surprising. Mm-hmm. So there's nothing about it to offend anyone's sensibilities. Like, the movie didn't make me angry. The movie didn't make me anything, and that's the problem with it, is there's nothing to the movie. It elicits no emotion in any way, no response of any kind other than go, well, I just saw that.
I did some flashbacks to the first movie that I found pretty... They listened to me like, oh, I wish you were watching the first movie. And at least David and I could argue about it when we did the video instead of just sitting in the car and sighing to ourselves.
But it's also one of those movies, too, that has the problem of it's a sequel that's far too late. Mm-hmm. Like, it's... Yeah, no. It's just...
Because don't get me wrong, I like seeing a movie where it's an older woman playing the lead. You know, it's...
Yeah.
They didn't spackle her to high heaven. Her eyebrows were kind of a weird shape. I would argue with the decision to leave them as unkempt as they were. I think that they were trying to make her look dowdy because she lost so much weight, and in the first movie the appeal of her is that she's supposed to be like an every woman, and so she's kind of chubby and like round in the face, and I don't know if maybe they they downplayed the makeup and made her eyebrows an unflattering shape to kind of follow that tact.
Maybe.
But I
Who
forgot
knows?
what I was
Renee
originally talking
Zellweger
about.
looks different now too.
She does. People look different when they get older. I
No,
didn't
absolutely.
understand that whole brouhaha where everyone's like, Renee Zellweger got old in the face, and everyone's like,
Well, yeah,
But-
she aged.
it's...
And the only reason people fucking even noticed that in the first place is that she didn't make 5 billion fucking movies in between then.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like if she had kept making movies all the time, it would have been so gradual to the public eye, nobody would have fucking ever noticed.
Some people, especially like the baby-faced, when they get older, it makes them look like a different person, like your Val Kilmer and your Matthew Broderick's. I mean, yeah, maybe they've had work done, and maybe it then proceeded to age on their face, but, you know, it's fucking Hollywood, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm glad that they cast an older woman as the lead, and I don't want to shit on that in particular, but it seemed like it seemed like they were using that as like a running joke, in much the same way as like a poorly made Melissa McCarthy movie is all about how fat she is. This is all about how old and spinstery and 43 years old she is. They kept calling her geriatric, which I googled, and apparently there isn't a specific age that geriatric begins at, but I can't imagine that it's 43. I really can't.
Maybe it's some weird British terminology. That's what I chalked it up to. And, you know, 43 is late to be having a first child.
It is, but it's not geriatric. I googled it, and geriatric means like the medical care of old people. That's pretty much all that it means.
Like I said, it could be some different British term. You know?
Brits weigh in on whether you call everyone over the age of 40 geriatric.
It's kind of like how fanny over there means pussy.
Fanny does mean vagina, and gusset means like the crotchy bit of the
Yeah.
underpants. Which, forgive me, but I find really charming that there's an adorable oldie timey term for the crotch bit of some underpants. But that's neither here nor there.
Well, you know, everything has a name somewhere.
Gusset sounds like a rigging system, though. Like on a boat, something that would involve 10 pulleys. That sounds like what a gusset should be.
Gusset is one of those words I had to look up after watching British television for years. It's just like, all right, in the past weekend, I've watched 2 seasons of Coupling. What the fuck does gusset mean?
It's the crotchy bit of a
Yeah,
panty.
exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, Jeffrey.
Jeffrey's a big fan of a gusset.
Yeah. That's all I got on this. It was fucking pointless.
It was very poorly written. That was the most annoying thing I found about it. I know that Bridget is supposed to be the sort of character that embarrassing things just sort of happen to her, and what I'm supposed to find charming is how she handles those situations with aplomb, which they did fairly well in the first one, but in this one it's the Mickey Blue Eyes situation where you can see the horribly embarrassing things coming from a mile away, and you just have to watch between your fingers. But they also try to reference that in giving her these terrible, terrible jokes. And in the first one, again, they're sort of like charming one-off things that she says and then goes, yeah, alright. But in this, it's just these terrible one-liners written like English was the second language, and then the entire room stops to react to them, and then she just like crab walks out of the way. And that, to me, is not what I pay money to see in a movie.
No, this was... Yeah. Well, it was just nothing. It was nothing. I think I find that more disturbing than watching a movie I absolutely hate, is a movie that I have no emotional reaction to at all whatsoever. And this was, oddly enough, one of them.
You know what this reminded me of in terms of like the emotional impact was Pirates of the Caribbean 4.
And
Just because
I don't like those movies either.
well, maybe then you can sympathize. Because for me, I feel really strong. I really like the first Pirates of the Caribbean. The second one is good. The third one, take or leave. And the fourth one was just basically like watching characters that I used to love be play acted by a child through a hastily written fan fiction. And that's what this movie felt like.
Yeah. Yeah. Didn't care going in, didn't care going out. That's what it felt like to me.
But the friends showed back up, which is always nice. We got to see, you were all like, oh hey, that's Moaning Myrtle.
Yeah.
But she was in this before she was ever in Harry Potter.
Well, yeah. It's, you know, I know the guy from the Italian restaurant was in, what, was he in the first and the second one? Or what?
I didn't recognize that guy.
Oh, you didn't?
No, who was he?
He's a British character actor. You were just watching Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell.
Uh-huh.
He was Mr. Norrell's assistant.
Oh! I didn't recognize him not all grizzled and sepia-toned.
Yeah.
But I saw Gaius Baltar plays gay friend Tom in the first one, because when he first shows up in Battlestar Galactica, I was like, hey, it's gay friend Tom! And then when he showed up in this, I was like, yay, it's Gaius Baltar! So we have come full circle. You've been watching The West Wing, and every time Gus shows up, I'm like, yay, it's Gus! And they was like, no, it's Charlie!
He was Charlie long before he was Gus.
I don't care, he'll always be Gus to me. Anyway, don't go watch this movie. There's no point to it. If you liked the first one, you're just gonna be sad. If you didn't like the first one, why would you want to go see this movie? If you're pregnant, there's much better pregnancy movies, I'm sure.
Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah, Rosemary's Baby. When the bow breaks that Brian and Brad just went and saw.
Yes.
Knocked Up was a pretty good movie.
Yep.
Probably see that one. We missed some of the previews because as we were on the car ride over here, it turned out the movie was starting 25 minutes earlier than we thought it was. But we caught Storks, which I'm excited to be going to see this week.
Yeah.
With Brad.
Yeah.
Because Brad's excited to see Kelsey Grammer Siegel.
Yeah, I would just want to see the wolves.
You could just come along. I could sneak them in my handbag.
I think I can't remember what I have a movie at 10 o'clock on Thursday, I think.
Really? What are you seeing?
I can't remember.
Not Storks.
No, it's not. No, hold on. It's going to get a little dimmer in here. I'm going to pull off the lighting source to remember what the fuck Brad's sending me to this week.
Well, I'll vamp while you look that one up because...
Oh, Magnificent Seven.
Oh, that's exciting though.
Yeah, well, you know what? Quite frankly,
Rather see Storks?
I'd rather see Storks, but at the same time, like, you know, I love the Seven Samurai. The old Magnificent Seven Western I hate with a fiery vengeance. Because I don't care what anybody says, it's a shitty movie. Full of shitty people and terrible
Gauntlet
acting.
Throne. I've never seen any of the precursors, which is probably why I'm going to see Storks.
Yeah.
But we also got a preview that made me cry, A Dog's Purpose, which is the first I've seen of this particular movie. Have you seen this preview before?
No, but God, it looked bad.
It's about a story about a dog who is a good boy, and then he dies and comes back as another dog, and then he's a good boy, and then he dies and he comes back as another dog, and he's a good boy, and then he comes back as another dog, and it turns out it's the same master from the first dog, and they reconnect, and he teaches him to learn and love again. And I'm sitting there like, every dog is the same dog. He's a police dog, he's doing such a good job.
Roll up the window so we don't have to listen to the trash run.
Oh. That's true, glancing askance. I bet they're having an illicit affair.
Possibly.
Yes. Teenagers and their ways. And then The Girl on the Train, which looks like a Gone Girl cash grab, but what do I know?
Brad's looking for that. I've seen that. That's along the same lines to me as was that movie Prisoners, where I've seen the trailer so many times now that I don't give a shit.
Which one's Prisoners?
That came out a few years ago. It was Hugh Jackman. And
Oh, the one where you're gonna like shoot the autistic guy?
yeah.
I think it probably turned out, because that one looked like there was a massive twist in it, but I don't like movies like that, so I just kind of resigned myself to never knowing what the ending was going to be, and that's kind of how I feel about The Girl on the Train. Like, I saw Gone Girl, But that was because I read the book and loved it. This one is apparently based on a book, but I don't have enough time to read books right now. So it's just kind of, I guess I'll never know what the twist is. I bet it's that she's Tyler Durdening herself, and it turns out that she is the mom and also the nanny. And the blonde lady was her all along. Or the blonde lady is secretly her husband in disguise.
Ooh, that's a possibility.
Yeah. Or the blonde lady is a reincarnated dog who knew her husband way back when he was just a wee
Trying to
tyke.
teach him how to learn.
Trying to teach him how to learn and love again. And the blonde lady's gonna find a football under the porch, and the guy's gonna be like, "Where did you find that?"
Okay, I'm done talking.
Well, now we gotta go drive so that you can talk to Brad about Hillsong.
Yeah, Brad decided to go see Hillsong by himself. So, I'm gonna listen to him rant about that for about 10 minutes, and then
It's your turn. I got to listen to the Matthew McConaughey Suicide Forest movie one.
you know what? After 30 years of friendship, it's everybody else's turn. I've been listening to a bitch about this.
I like listening to people tell me about stories. It's basically like a bedtime story that someone much better at writing than my friends made up.
All right.
Hey, good night, you guys.
Good night, kids.